Oh my god. Ow. Ow.
Hey, it's me.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. We've got a great little setup here because I brought a ring light. Thanks to one of my friend's boyfriends who told me I should get it. And he's probably watching this video, so hey, I am using it and I did build it. Today's video is going to be all of the books I can't stop thinking about. And honestly, just series I can't stop thinking about because some of these are a part of series and I might as well just include them all. So let's just get into this. I did get a haircut. I don't know if I've spoke about that yet, and I still don't know how to style the bangs properly. So we're just kind of living with them. If I keep touching my hair, I'm sorry. First book is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I love this book so much and I talk about it all the time on, not all the time, but when I do like book videos and I'm talking about like my favorites, this is probably one of them. Following Evelyn Hugo as she's like recounting her earlier stardom days to a reporter called Monique, and you basically go through all of her 7 husbands from very early in her career to I think when she gave up acting or when her last husband died or something. Like I can't remember the exact extent, but it does go through all of her husbands through her early career. Next, from the same universe, we have Daisy Jones and the Six, also by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one follows a band called Daisy Jones and the Six and how like they came together, but it's like interview style. So you have like, where's the point where I'm not gonna spoil this. I feel like everyone knows how this book is set up by now, but where's one that has more? Anyway, so it's like kind of like it will say the character's name and then like what they're saying because it's interview style. I don't know how to explain that, but anyways, you're just following a band as they recount their days as they're coming into like stardom and why their band ended. Then we have one of my favorite series of all time. It's a 5-star series and that is the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. So it's 3 full books and 1 little novella. The novella is like a 1920s styled party and it's like a murder mystery and you're trying to figure out obviously who was the killer. And then the rest of the books are Pip and Ravi going through and investigating all of these crimes that are currently happening in their small town or have happened in their small town. And honestly, these were so good. Gave the novella 3 stars because I feel like you can't really give something that's this small any higher than that, even though it was really good. And then these 2 were 5-star and this one was I think 4-star. But overall, super good. Would recommend, like this is a series I would recommend to literally anyone, especially if you're wanting to get into reading and you're not like really into romance but you want something to keep you on your toes. Like I feel like this series will keep you on your toes the entire time. Then we have the first half of the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. Obviously these are not in order of like, well they might be, I don't actually know, this is weird, but so you have City of Bones, City of Ashes and City of Glass, and I'm just putting them back in the order of how they go on my shelf. Basically they follow Clary and like a group of shadow hunters. Clary is introduced into the shadow hunter world where she, like, because she's grown up in like our world, she doesn't know anything about shadow hunters or vampires or witches or any of that kind of thing, and then she kind of gets shoved into it I think on her 15th birthday because there's a show and it's on her 18th birthday is when she gets shoved into this universe. But yeah, you get to, like these 3 so far so good. I think 4, 5, 4 maybe if I'm remembering correctly, I'm not sure, but still a very good series. I'm obsessed with this universe, loved the show, loved the 1 movie that came out, so I would recommend this. Then we have the one that everyone talks about continuously since it came out, and that's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This follows Violet Sorrengail, who has trained her whole life to be a scribe, but her mum is like really big, I don't actually know what his title is, but she's really, I think she's like a commander or something of the Writers Quadrant or something along those lines. So she forces her daughter to go into the writer's quadrant because she's like, no child of mine is going into the scribe quadrant. And so yeah, and then you get to follow her trying to survive in the writer's quadrant because obviously she never trained for this. She had, I think, 6 months prior to the events of the book to train for the writer's quadrant, and everyone else had been training their whole lives. So I gave this 5 stars. There is a lot of death because like you've got to make it to, like, they do all these like really hard things that do end in death to like get rid of the weak and only have like the really powerful people or like strong people at the end where they can pick their dragons. Then we have the Twisted series. I currently I only have those 3 that I've actually read. I'm currently reading Twisted Lies, but so far the first book follows Ava and what's her name again? Ava and Alex. Ava, I think, I can't remember what her career was. I think she was into photography, and then Alex is just like this rich guy who's had a lot of trauma in the past, and he's also Ava's brother's best friend. So to have that. And then Twisted Games follows Bridget and Reese. Bridget is a princess of this fictional country called Eldora, and Reese is her bodyguard. Yeah, and Bridget's also one of Ava's best friends. Like basically all the Twisted books follow this group of friends: Ava, Bridget, Jules, and Stella. And then this one is Jules's story, and it's like an enemies to lovers, but I don't really like using that. I don't think really anyone likes using that term for romance because it's not really enemies, it's just you strongly dislike them. But this follows Jules and Josh is Ava's brother. And Jules, I think, is Ava's best friend in this universe, but yeah, that's that one as well. But yeah, definitely read the series. I rated it, Twisted Love I rated 3 stars, Twisted Games I rated 5, and then Twisted Hate I rated 4 stars. So far it's a good series. You do kind of have to read them all though, which I don't like, but you know, in a series you kind of expect you got to read all the books. But yeah, definitely try these out. But yeah, Twisted Games has like spoilers for Twisted Love because half of Twisted Games is on the same timeline as Twisted Love, and that's why you got to read like all of the books. Next we have Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, which follows Bree and Archer. So Archer had like this traumatic event where he's now like he doesn't speak, and Bree moves to this town of Pellion, Maine, and she had this thing happen in her hometown, so she kind of ran away and moved to Pellion. I don't actually know how to pronounce it. Pellion. But yeah, so everyone doesn't really talk to Archer because of this event, and so yeah, and because no one can talk to him because he doesn't talk back, and they just kind of think he's being stubborn, but then you find out the real reason of why he can't speak, and it's very sad. But it's such a cute book. But yeah, I don't actually know how to explain books. I read this one back in January, so me remembering kind of that much was good. Like, I think about it all the time, but I actually can't remember the plot. Then we have the Knock 'Em Out trilogy, which is Things We Never Got Over, Things We Hide from the Light, and Things We Left Behind. So this follows 2 brothers and their friend, and then basically a bunch of girls. So Things We Left Behind is, actually I'm going to go in order. Things We Never Got Over is Knox and Naomi's story. Knox is one of the 2 brothers, and Naomi is a runaway bride who comes to the town because her sister, her twin sister, calls her and says that she's in trouble and needs money and help. And then her twin sister steals her car and leaves her with an 11-year-old, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so Naomi now has to look after this 11-year-old and also try and make a life in this town because she can't actually afford to, I think, leave the town. So yeah, you have that one. And then Things We Hide from the Light is Nash and Lena's story. Nash is the second brother, and Lena is like the bad girl. She's also Knox's ex, and then Nash is the chief of police in Knock 'Em Out. So yeah, you have bad girl, good boy kind of plot thing. Do you mind, birds? Thank you. But yeah, it also, like, there's like kind of like a mystery aspect. Sorry if you can hear those birds. There's a mystery aspect that kind of follows all of the books as well. It's really strong in these two, and then it kind of dies out a bit in the final book, which is Lucian and Sloane's story. This was like enemies to lovers, but again, it's not really enemies. But they also had like a past together, so it's very confusing. I actually just finished this book and I gave it 4 stars. But yeah, they had this past relationship. It didn't end well, and then they don't talk for like 20 years, or they're really hostile to each other for 20 years. And so yeah, but Sloane is a local to the town, whereas Lena and Naomi both come to the town and then fall in love with the, but yeah, that's the Knock 'Em Out series. It's a 5-star series altogether. The first 2 were 5 stars, the last one's a 4 stars. I feel like they could have shortened, well, Lucy Sewell could have shortened this book to like half the size and done like a novella to end off the series of like rounding off like the stories and being like, this is where the characters are at now, instead of having a like almost 600-page book that focused on the other characters more than it did on the main couple. Then we have one of my most recent favorites, and that is the Inheritance Games series. I don't know if it's a trilogy. Well, like there's a 4th book that's just come out, but I'm like, since I only have, I think I have the first 3 in the UK covers, and I have the 4th one in the American cover, which came out and it was in New Zealand stores, and these ones were still, it's just confusing. But anyway, these 2 both 5 stars, I'm pretty sure, 5 or 4 stars. But this follows Avery, who gets who inherits like this old guy's fortune, and then has to go and live in the old guy's house who's died. Otherwise she can't actually inherit any of the fortune. But his whole family still lives in the house, and they were all expecting to inherit all of his money, properties, and all this stuff. So she's trying to also, like, works with the brothers, like, so the 4 Hawthorne brothers, you can see in the background here. She works with them to try and figure out why she got all this money and everything handed to her when she has no idea who this guy is. But so I read the first 2. I still have 2 of the other books, like 2 of the other 2 that are out that I still have to read, but I'm buddy reading the series with my friend Faith, so it's getting there slowly. But so far so good. And finally, we have Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is in the same universe as The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six. But this one, I think, like, they're all set at kind of different time periods, but you have like some characters just kind of like go in all of the books, and you know it's all in the same universe because of that. But this one follows Carrie Soto, obviously, and she had this high record of the amount of slams, I think, won during her career, but she'd retired, and this other girl was so close to beating her record, so she comes back from retirement to try and win back her record. Yeah, and it's just like, I got really sad towards the end of it because of like this one thing that happens, and you have to read it because I'm not going to spoil it, but I almost cried at the very end because it's like so sad. But yeah, I would so recommend reading this. I think it's set in 1994 or 1995. It's like 90s, and it's just really good. I don't know anything about tennis, and I really enjoyed this book, so you know, I would recommend giving it a try. That's all the books for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys all next week.